Ever felt completely drained after a weekend of doing absolutely nothing? You know, that kind of bone deep tiredness that sleep doesn't fix. It's confusing, right? You think, but I haven't been doing anything. And yet somehow your body feels heavier, your mind foggier, and your motivation flatter than it did at the end of the week. If that sounds like you, stick around, because today we're diving into the kind of exhaustion that just doesn't go away with more sleep or another self-care Sunday. And I'll walk you through 4 reasons why you might be feeling persistently tired even when you're not doing much. And I'll also share a simple but powerful exercise to help you reconnect with rest that actually works. So let's start with something that comes up all the time, not just with my clients, but honestly with me too. You finally give yourself permission to slow down, you clear the calendar, you even say no to a few things. And even after that, you still feel exhausted. So you think, I should have done those things anyway. And you wonder if maybe this is just how it is now. Maybe it's age, maybe you've been working too hard. And you start Googling the signs of burnout, or wondering whether your nervous system is just overwhelmed. But here's what I found in my own life, and in so many of the women that I work with. It's not always burnout. It's often something more subtle, what I call energetic misalignment. You're doing less, but you're not feeling better, because the how behind your rest matters more than the what, the more than the doing. That'll make more sense in a moment. So let's look at 4 of the biggest reasons you might feel tired even when you're resting. And the first is performative rest. This is when you're technically resting, so you're sitting still, you're watching TV, you're lying on the sofa, but underneath you're still tense. You're doing it while silently judging yourself for not being productive. That was a big one for me. Your to-do list plays in a loop in your mind, making you feel guilty for not tackling it, for being lazy. Your nervous system is still in go mode. And as long as that's the case, you won't feel the benefits of rest, no matter how much downtime you schedule. I remember one phase in my own life where I had Friday afternoons blocked off as sacred downtime. No meetings, no calls, nothing. And yet every Friday, I found myself either catching up on admin, planning the following week, or feeling this low-level guilt that I wasn't doing anything useful. I'd end the day more tired than when I started, even though I had the afternoon off. And it took me a while to realize why, and that's because my rest was performative. I had technically given myself the downtime, but I hadn't let go of the internal pressure. That critical voice was still telling me I had to justify my rest in order for it to count. So that's the first reason, performative rest. The second reason is mental looping, and this is huge for many people. You might be physically lying down, but mentally you're running laps. You're replaying that awkward thing you said in a meeting. You're planning what to have for dinner. You're scrolling through worst case scenarios without even realizing it. And the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's really happening and what you're imagining. So if your thoughts are stressful, your body responds as if it's under threat. You're still releasing cortisol. You're still holding tension. You're still in fight or flight, even if you're on the sofa under a blanket. And the third reason is something I call value mismatch. So even when you carve out time to rest, if the rest of your life feels disconnected from what actually matters to you, your nervous system stays on alert. Because misalignment creates friction, and friction burns energy. Think about it, if most of your time is consumed by obligations and tasks that drain you instead of energize you, the small amount of time you set aside for rest just won't be enough to recharge you, because that downtime can't reverse the impact of the constant stress. It's like eating a handful of spinach after a week of junk food and expecting to feel instantly healthy. It just doesn't work that way. True rest needs to be part of a larger system of balance. I've seen this so often, especially with women who are externally successful. They're doing everything right, they've ticked the boxes, and yet they feel a deep exhaustion because their days are filled with shoulds and expectations and invisible rules. And even when they stop for a moment, that inattention doesn't switch off. And then finally, we've got technology overload. We're constantly plugged in. Phones, emails, scrolling, notifications. Even when we're off, we're taking in information, responding to messages, digesting noise. It's relentless. There's no space, there's no silence, there's no emptiness. Now, I'm not saying tech is a problem, but when our rest involves replacing one form of stimulation with another, like binge watching a series while checking social media, you're not really letting your nervous system down-regulate. I'm not saying to be completely offline, but I want you to get used to knowing when your system needs to unplug, even just for 10 minutes, without input, without doing. When I realized that my sacred Friday afternoons weren't actually restful because I was still mentally active, still connected to work, still subtly proving something, even if it was to my inner critic, I made the shift. I stopped viewing that time as a reward and started seeing it as nourishment, like food, something I need in order to function, not something that I have to earn. And that mindset shift made all the difference. So if you're finding yourself doing less but still feeling depleted, I want to offer you a simple exercise you can do now. Grab yourself a pen and paper and ask yourself, when I rest, do I actually feel restored? Or just twitchy, guilty, or numbed out? Then write down 3 activities that genuinely leave you feeling nourished. Maybe it's a walk in nature with no podcast. Maybe it's listening to music just for the fun of it, just to feel something. Maybe it's daydreaming with no pressure to produce anything. Because these are clues to how your system works. And when you honor them, your rest becomes real. It starts to work. And if you're starting to sense that your tiredness isn't just about how much you're doing, but about how and why you're doing it, then you'll love the Purposeful Path course. Because inside we work on restoring your rhythm, reconnecting with your desires, and designing a life that feels like it fits. If this sounds good, you can find more details in the link below. And if this video gave you something to reflect on, go ahead and like it. It helps more women find this kind of content. And subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I will see you in the next video.